Good evening, everyone. Do you remember how on the first day of every academic year, our class teacher used to ask us one simple question? Introduce yourself, who are you, and what do you want to become? And how all of us used to raise our hands, super excited to share with our class about our dreams and aspirations. Someone said doctor, someone said engineer, someone said space scientist, actor, teacher. Do you remember the rush, the excitement, the thrill, the passion you had while answering or while talking about your own dreams? How honest, how focused, how ambitious and confident you were about your own dreams back then. Now if we fast forward and I ask you the same question, who are you and what do you want to become? What do you really believe in? You're going to be like, oh my God, what is this girl talking about? Who are we? And you'll sit here questioning everything you know about yourself. Most of us will be at a loss of words, others might be confused. Who are we and what do we really believe in? Are we living our dreams or we are just being what the world is telling us to be? So I'll talk about three people. So I have this friend who's a fabulous chef and he wants to open his restaurant one day, but now he's too afraid to do that. So he's working at an IT firm and he's miserable. I have another friend who's a gifted musician but is studying architecture and he doesn't even know why. There's one more girl who happens to be a hilarious comedian. Her jokes are going to make you laugh and cry at the same point of time. But she's too scared to pursue comedy as a career. So she has settled down for an HR job. Now, do you know what all these three people have in common? Number one, they are living someone else's life. And number two, they're brilliant at something, a definite skill set, but they are doing something completely different. In my experience, a lot of people, once they make past a certain age, face a bit of an existential crisis when they are suddenly stepped or pushed forward into the real world, which is full of seemingly focused adults going in a very specific direction. We often feel lost or hopeless as we try to find our place among them. Who are we? And what do we really, really believe in? This realization dawned upon me 3 years back when I was doing my engineering. So by the time I was on my 8th semester of computer science and engineering, I knew deep inside my heart that this is something I can't be doing for the rest of my life. Don't get me wrong. Sitting in front of the computer, coding, designing AI, solving modules, those are some things that still gives me a lot of happiness. But I'm not gritty about it. Now you may ask, what is this little woman trying to tell us by saying gritty? What does grit actually mean? Grit is passion. Grit is perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina for the impossible. Grit is sticking with your future day in and day out, not just for weeks, not just for months, but for years to come, and working really, really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living your life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. I realized that I was truly passionate about one thing, and that is business. I always wanted to start my own company, build something unique, and run it in a full-fledged manner. But 3 years back, it was like a dream. It was like a distant dream. 3 years back, I was finishing my BTech degree, and I was almost set with my first IT job, which promised a very good salary, a routine life, and stability. But if you ask me, was I really happy? No. Engineering from a reputed college, job, masters from abroad, a better job, better salary, equal to good life. That was the entire equation I knew. Perhaps that was the entire equation I was taught. Everyone in and around me, or from my field perhaps, had the same plan. And I didn't want to be an exception. Because we know from chemistry, exceptions are always left alone. I didn't want to be alone. And I didn't want my parents to come up with their favorite line, "Log kya kahenge?" which means, what will others say? Stepping out of the system required courage and loads of decision making, while staying in this system meant that set life, which made me feel untrue to my own self. I had never felt more confused. But after some time, I did make up my mind. Once in a while, when you're too confused about everything, you should just listen to your heart. Although it's on the left, it's always right. So at the age of 22, soon after my graduation, I decided to be brave for once in my lifetime, and I started my own business. Now, when we say business, we think of being your own boss, having everything under control, cool office, big projects, and so on. Yeah, I had the same delusion. Even I believed I'll open my business and it's going to take off, only to realize there was no runway. There's no ready-made path to success. I didn't understand the business lingo, how things functioned, whom to approach, how to approach, what to say, what not to say. Every day seemed like a disaster. And it's hurtful, when you have big dreams, when you dream of making it really, really big in life, but you don't know how to. My framework of the world started to alter. Definitions became more fluid. My work started to define me all the time in an overwhelming, equalizing manner. And everything started to feel less reliable to me. And if you happen to be a woman from a small town, it gets worse. The voices grow really loud, louder than you can imagine, telling you that it's impossible, or even worse, not being heard at all. There was a glaring bias against my gender, a clear-cut refusal to believe that a 20-something girl wants to make her mark in a field that continues to be dominated by older men. I was told my dreams are impossible, unrealistic, and my attempts were met with a smirk. But I quickly realized one thing. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who does or who does not believe in you, as long as you know how to believe in yourself. You will always have people telling you, it's right, it's wrong, it's stupid, do it left, do it right, do it blue, do it pink. But ultimately, it's you who gets to decide the course of your life. You have to learn how to cut down the noise, stay on the track, and just do your dance. For me, once I started off, there was no worse place to go to. The only place to go was up. Instead of feeling dejected and hurt, I started using my own sentiments to propel me further. As long as you're willing to combine your unshakable faith with hard work, grit, and perseverance, you're bound to succeed. The truth is, most of us are conditioned to believe that we can operate within certain limits of gender, age, family, societal conditioning, deeply rooted societal beliefs that stops us from realizing our full potential. We are also scared of the possibility of failure. But if you are living a life you're not happy with, but you want to play safe because you're scared of failing, all you'll ever do is make safe choices. Now, there's nothing wrong with making safe choices. But do you know what safe choices does to you? It gives you a career graph which is flat. Do you know what else is flat? The lifeline of a dead man. Now, If you look at your lifeline, as long as you're alive, you will see it goes up and down, something like this. It's ready to fail, but it's ready to get back up. When your life is not giving up on you, why are you giving up on yourself? We are asked to settle for a life that we are told would be most suitable for us. We are never taught how to take risks. So even if you're unhappy at a certain place, we can't gather the courage to move out of it. The regrets of your past should not define the course of your future. Imagine you're on a ship and you have sailed for 72 hours, and suddenly you realize that the ship is beginning to sink. What would you do? Would you stay on this ship telling yourself, oh, I have sailed with this ship for 72 hours, now I'm going to sink with it? No. You don't be the Titanic's captain. You take the leap and you jump. You jump, you run, you swim. But you swim towards new horizon. You move away from that sinking ship. You'll never know how strong you are or how strong your skill sets are unless and until you're ready to face challenges and test new waters. Coming back to me, 3 years down the line, I'm still running my own business, and our team is growing in leaps and bounds. We are not only scaling up, we are busy acquiring fresh talent from all over Asia who are curious to create and interested to build something unique. I have learned over the years that whatever moves you, whatever urges you to create, to build, to break down barriers, whatever helps you from failing, whatever helps you survive, is perhaps the oldest and the most simplest emotion known to mankind, and that is love. Feeling a little more courageous, I started to look out for people who might be as where I was 3 years back, so that I can help them out in any possible manner. I went around asking a simple question to anyone and everyone I met. What do you want to be? What are your aspirations? And I kept getting various answers, few generic, few not so generic, until and unless I came across a group of girls from a small village, which was right next to a project site of mine. Now the thing is, as far as Indian society is concerned, these girls fit into a certain category. We are underprivileged. And when we categorize somebody as underprivileged, we decide that we can engage with them in some ways, either by donating money or by teaching them English. Because we never consider these people as individuals with likes, dislikes, hopes, dreams. And what's worse is that at times in our society, we tend to internalize their disparity. So if you ask somebody who is conventionally considered underprivileged, आपका क्या सपना है? They're going to be like, हमारा क्या सपना होगा? So I asked this group of girls what their dreams were. I came across an array of answers until and unless I met a 17-year-old Ira, who said to me, মানুষ অনেক কিছু হতে চায়, আমি শুধু স্বাধীন হতে চাই, আর আমি ওটা হব. Which means people want to be a lot of things. I just want to be independent, and I will become independent. That was the most simplest, most courageous answer I had ever got. Perhaps the most powerful one I have ever heard about dreams, aspirations, and being brave. I understood she who is brave is already free. Ira comes from a BPL family and wants to become a teacher so that she can provide free education to the women of her own community who are categorized as backwards and are marginalized. We are assisting Ira and her friends with their educational, vocational training and livelihood. People like Ira and many more have made me realize that the dignity of a life, a human being, actually resides in its ability for grace and compassion. And neither power nor poverty can make our lives more magical or less torturous. So you may use your education to get a fancy job, to open up a new business, to fly abroad, to earn a 6-digit salary, or you may use your education to educate others and truly empower them. You may use your power to build walls and to keep your status quo intact, or you may use it to break down barriers and welcome everybody in. You may tell people they're too young, too old, too dumb, too broke to have dreams, or you can show your faith in them and instill confidence in them. It really takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. You don't see the entire path to take the first step. You can take the first step with fear and doubt. You can also take the first step with hope and trust. Too often we think that we need to have it all figured out before starting the journey. But the truth is, all the best journeys aren't planned from the start till the end. Every single journey under the sun begins with a dream, a wish. I have harbored a wish for being there for people who are of my kind and assisting them in whichever way possible. So at our nonprofit, we provide guidance to anyone and everyone who needs it. We ensure them that they are not entirely alone in their journey, and the fact that we do believe in their potential and growth. We believe, as the youth, we can help each other along the way, and that's what the world desperately needs. I understand that we are infinite, and the future is us, the youth. If there has been a momentous time for humanity to exist, it's now, because the youth of today is courageous. The youth of today is brave. The youth of today is innovative, creative, and does not understand any limits. The present you is indefinable. We have all gathered here today in the presence of TED Talks to speak about talent, individual achievement, innovations, science, knowledge. And all of you are reasons enough to celebrate the future us. But within that celebration, the quest to make ourselves more braver and kinder has to assert itself just as equally, so that we can dream about a future from the clarity of an untampered mind, just like a school kid. Because the future has an infinite horizon stretching before you. So step forward, take that leap, but as you, be you. Thank you.